Good morning, my friends, and welcome to our New Testament Challenge. I'm Pastor Roger Vest with Douglasville First United Methodist Church, and today I'll be reading to you the 27th chapter of the Gospel of Matthew. Hear now the words of our Lord. When morning came, all the chief priests and the elders of the people conferred together against Jesus in order to bring about his death. They bound him, led him away, and handed him over to Pilate, the governor. When Judas, his betrayer, saw that Jesus was condemned, he repented and brought back the 30 pieces of silver to the chief priests and the elders. And he said, I have sinned by betraying innocent blood. But they said, what's that to us? See to it yourself. And throwing down the pieces of silver in the temple, he departed and he went and hanged himself. But the chief priest took the pieces of silver, saying, it is not lawful to put them into the treasury, since they are blood money. And after conferring together, they used them to buy the potter's field as a place to bury foreigners. For this reason, that field has always been called the field of blood to this day. Then was fulfilled what had been spoken through the prophet Jeremiah, and they took the 30 pieces of silver, the price of the one on whom a price had been set, on whom some of the people of Israel had set a price, and they gave them for the potter's field, as the Lord commanded me. Now, Jesus stood before the governor, and the governor asked him, are you the king of the Jews? Jesus said, you say so. But when he was accused by the chief priests and elders, he didn't answer. Then Pilate said to him, do you not hear how many accusations they make against you? But he gave him no answer, not even to a single charge, so that the governor was greatly amazed. Now, at the festival, the governor was accustomed to release a prisoner for the crowd, anyone whom they wanted. And at that time, there was a notorious prisoner called Jesus Barabbas. So after they gathered, Pilate said to them, whom do you want me to release for you, Jesus Barabbas or Jesus, who is called the Messiah? For he realized that it was out of jealousy that they had handed him over. And while he was sitting on the judgment seat, his wife sent word to him, have nothing to do with that innocent man. For today I have suffered a great deal because of a dream about him. Now the chief priests and the elders persuaded the crowds to ask for Barabbas and to have Jesus killed. The governor again said to them, which of the two do you want me to release for you? And they said, Barabbas. Pilate said to them, then what should I do with Jesus, who is called the Messiah? And all of them said, let him be crucified. And he asked, why? What evil has he done? But they shouted all the more, crucify him, crucify him. So when Pilate saw that he could do nothing, but rather that a riot was beginning, he took some water and washed his hands before the crowd, saying, I am innocent of this man's blood. See to it yourselves. Then the people as a whole answered, his blood be on us and on our children. So he released Barabbas for them, and after flogging Jesus, he handed him over to be crucified. Then the soldiers of the governor took Jesus into the governor's headquarters, and they gathered the whole cohort around him. They stripped him and put a scarlet robe on him, and twisting some thorns into a crown, they put it on his head. They put a reed in his right hand and knelt before him and mocked him, saying, Hail, King of the Jews! They spat upon him and took the reed and struck him on the head. And after mocking him, they stripped him of the robe and put his own clothes back on him. Then they led him away to crucify him. Now, as they went out, they came upon a man from Cyrene named Simon, and they compelled this man to carry his cross. And when they came to a place called Golgotha, which means place of a skull, they offered him wine to drink mixed with gall, but when he tasted it, he would not drink it. And when they had crucified Jesus, they divided his clothes among them by casting lots. Then they sat down and kept watch over him. And over his head they put the charge against him, which read, This is Jesus, King of the Jews. Then two bandits were crucified with him, one on his right and one on his left. And those who passed by derided him, shaking their heads and saying, You who would destroy the temple and build it in 3 days, save yourself. If you are the Son of God, come down from that cross. In the same way, the chief priests also, along with the scribes and elders, were mocking him, saying, He saved others, but he can't save himself. He is the King of Israel. Let him come down from the cross now, and we will believe in him. He trusts in God. Let God deliver him now, if he wants to, for he said, I am God's son. The bandits who were crucified with him also taunted him in the same way. Now, from noon on, darkness came over the whole land until 3 p.m. And at about 3 o'clock, Jesus cried with a loud voice, Eli, Eli, lema sabachthani? That is, my God, why have you forsaken me? This man is calling for Elijah. And at once one of them ran and got a sponge, filled it with sour wine, put it on a stick, and gave it to him to drink. But the other said, "Wait, let's see whether Elijah will come and save him." Then Jesus cried again with a loud voice and breathed his last. And at that moment, the curtain of the temple was torn in two from top to bottom. The earth shook and the rocks were split. The tombs also were opened, and many bodies of the saints who had fallen asleep were raised. And after his resurrection, they came out of the tombs and entered the holy city and appeared to many. Now, when the centurion and those with him who were keeping watch over Jesus saw the earthquake and what took place, they were terrified and said, "Truly, this man was God's son." Many women were also there looking on from a distance, and they had followed Jesus from Galilee and had provided for him. Among them were Mary Magdalene, Mary the mother of James and Joseph, and the mother of the sons of Zebedee. When it was evening, there was a rich man from Arimathea named Joseph, who also was a disciple of Jesus. And he went to Pilate and asked for the body of Jesus. And Pilate ordered it to be given to him. So Jesus took the body, wrapped it in a clean linen cloth, and laid it in his own new tomb, which he had hewn into the rock. He then rolled a great stone to the door of the tomb and went away. And Mary Magdalene and the other Mary were there, sitting opposite the tomb. The next day, that is, after the day of preparation, the chief priests and the Pharisees gathered before Pilate and said, "Sir, we remember what that impostor said while he was still alive. After 3 days, I will rise again. Therefore, command the tomb to be made secure until the third day. Otherwise, his disciples may go and steal him away and tell the people, 'He has been raised from the dead,' and the last deception would be worse than the first." Pilate said to them, "You have a guard of soldiers. Go make it as secure as you can." So they went with a guard and made the tomb secure by sealing the stone. This is the word of God for us, the people of God. Thanks be to God. Let's look at the 27th chapter of the Gospel of Matthew. This is the day of the crucifixion. And so we see through this kind of the steps of the day, the events of the day. He starts by being brought before Pilate. We hear how Judas kills himself because they wouldn't take out. They wouldn't take the money back, the 30 pieces of silver. We hear how Pilate questions Jesus, and then he asks them, do they want Barabbas or Jesus of Christ? Which one should you know? Which one should you let go? That was the tradition. And Herod's wife sent word to him. He says, "Don't do anything with this innocent man, for I have suffered a great deal because of a dream about him." And so um, the, the, the chief priests and elders kept persuading the crowds to ask for Barabbas and to have Jesus killed. The governor tried to it, but he was more afraid of the riot than he was um, of what might happen to him if Jesus was crucified. And so he hands over to him. The soldiers mock Jesus, and then we go to the crucifixion. They went to a place called Golgotha, which means place of the skull. And when they had crucified him, they divided his clothes among themselves by casting lot. And they put on the sign, "This is Jesus, the King of the Jews." Um, Now, this is interesting, and each of the Gospels shows this a little different. They have a little difference here. Two bandits crucified him were, um, shaking their heads, and they mocked him as well. And the chief priest said, "He saved others; he can't save himself." And so the bandits who were crucified with him also taunted him in the same way. And then he says, from noon on, darkness came over the whole land until 3 in the afternoon. So about 3 hour period. Um, it was like an eclipse. And then about 3 o'clock, Jesus cried with a loud voice, "Eli, Eli, lema sabachthani," which is, my God, why have you forsaken me?" And that is taken from the 22nd Psalm. And some people thought he was calling for Elijah. Let's see if Elijah comes down. Then Jesus cried again in a loud voice and breathed his last. And at that moment, the curtain of the temple was torn in two from top to bottom. The earth shook and the rocks were split. Now, this is interesting. Only Matthew has these details. The tombs were opened and many bodies of the saints who had fallen asleep were raised. And after his resurrection, they came out of the tombs and entered the city and appeared to many. It's always interesting. So the centurion and those with him watching this said, "Surely this man was God's son." And the ladies were there: Mary Magdalene, Mary the mother of James and Joseph, the mother of the sons of Zebedee, also Mary, Jesus' mother. And then Joseph of Arimathea comes and takes the body and puts it in a tomb. And there we are at the end. And we're left not knowing what's going to happen. So we know what's happened, and we'll find out more about that on the 28th chapter. Hopefully this has been helpful, my friends. Take care, and we'll see you tomorrow.